It's true, Sean Collins. Life is good. Horse Racing Happy Hour Live. Turfway Park, Jeff Ruby Day here in Florence, y'all. Thanks for joining us here on the program. Barry Spears will be alongside momentarily. The young Sean Collins are playing the music. They got everything going. We were joking coming in about all of the good things at racetracks. Music constantly while you're walking around doesn't have to be one of those things.
No, it doesn't have to be one of those things. Maybe we just notice it because we're content creators in some capacity, and we have to deal with the potential copyright music. So I'm just going to keep talking over it, so that way you don't have to worry about that on your end. You're welcome.
It's such a good point.
But yeah,
what if Spotify pulls this episode because of what Turfway's doing? Right
exactly. No, that happens to me on YouTube all the time, where the music in the background, I got to go back and re-edit it or silence it or something. So yeah. I for one, I would vote against having the constant music over the races, but maybe that's just me as a video person. I don't know.
All right, I thought it would be cool to have you on to start. Of course, Sean, my co-host. If you haven't checked this out yet, on Blood Horse Monday, we'd love to have you as part of that programming as well. And today, by the way, we are presented by Stockton Mortgage, our friends over there, based here in Frankfort, Kentucky, but found all up and down this middle part of the country. So make sure you go check them out as rates start to drop. Or hey, we're coming up on summer, which is the big house buying season. I'll be Sean in a couple of years here, I'm sure of it. But Sean, just coming into Derby season here, you've now been to a set of preps. I mean, so you've been at Gulfstream, at Arkansas, in Oak Lawn. You've been to one down there in Fairgrounds. You've now been out to the San Felipe in California.
Virginia Derby.
Is there a couple of performances, maybe a performance for sure that stands out amongst them?
Well, right now, I really liked Incredible's win last weekend. He was a horse that I liked in the 2-year-old season at Churchill Downs in the street sense.
Well, throw in the street sense.
Yeah. And I know the Holy Bull kind of took a lot of people off of him. I was happy to see him bounce back so strongly last week in the Virginia Derby. I don't know he ended up beating in the Virginia Derby, but it didn't matter the way that he won. He showed more maturity in being able to sit between horses, kind of bounce between horses a little bit, sit closer to the pace, explode with that run, and just put 4 lengths on the field fairly easily. So I liked that. Nearly really impressed me in the Holy Bull when I was down there, the way that he drew off in the Holy Bull Stakes. Unfortunately, the one horse that I've not gotten the chance to see run live and probably won't get to before the Derby is Paladin, of all horses. Yeah. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to put my eyes on him. He obviously should be considered the top of the class right now.
Why is that? So I wanted to ask you about that. We're here. There's going to be a 100-point race here. There's going to be one in New Orleans today. And we're at this point of the Derby prep season, and we're leaning on a horse that all of us said, oh, he looked green, but oh, he looked like this, oh, he looked like this. And we've got him at the top of the stepping. Now, I know part of that is you got to Ted Noffey off of the Derby Trail, that kind of thing. So I know that part of this is just the nature of the Derby Trail this year, but can you remember a year where we've been leaning so hard on potential in March?
No, I mean...
I'm not mad at it, by the way.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we're leaning on potential. We're expecting him to be able to get a mile and a quarter. We're expecting him to figure out all the greenness by the first Saturday in May. But he's winning without having that, and he's been winning impressively. Now his last race in the Risen Star, I've commented many times on our Blood Horse Monday show that I don't think the Louisiana bunch is the strongest, but he went down there and he handled them. Yep. I think we'll get a real test in the Bluegrass. I think the Bluegrass is shaping up to be one of the better prep races, especially for this final round. So I think he's going to get a real test in there. As we look forward to the Derby, I just had that gut feeling that he's going to be the horse that everybody's kind of pointing to, and then he's just going to run second or third. He's not going to get the job done. So I'm looking elsewhere when you're looking at the Derby, but I think he has earned the right to be the top of the class. But for me, Incredible, nearly, and then I've also really liked Silent Tactics late running down at Oak Lawn as well. So those are kind of my 3 right now.
You see them both in person. You talk about late running style. That was something that went away in the Derby for a while. It was a lot better off, if you were a Baffert trainee, to be in the front of the pack or to be near the front of the pack, frankly, for many of these horses.
Be in those top 3 spots.
Yeah. It's certainly in the last, 50, 60 Derbies, being in the first or second spot by the time you get to that 16th pole is a huge difference maker for sure. But, you talk about a Silent Tactic. We were out at the San Felipe. You saw Potente in person. Between those two, which one has more of a late kick? I think of a Potente more of like a grinder getting to the mile and a quarter, whereas Silent Tactic a much more Swift, turn a foot later on.
I think Silent Tactics got the bigger rush.
Yeah.
So when he really kind of locks in and he goes, I think he's got the bigger kick. But Potente, a lot of times, especially when you're looking at the Derby, it is that grinding closer that kind of is the more successful. And you think about Sovereignty last year, how he just kind of grinded through the field.
I think Potente runs more like Sovereignty than a Sierra Leone type or something like that. Yeah. Does Silent Tactic remind you that running style of a Sierra Leone? I know probably not as powerful, but
I don't know.
Not at this point his career.
I did like in the Rebel Stakes last time. I did like how he kind of had to wait a while, and then he still kind of came with the kick. I do think having to wait ultimately cost him the race.
Sure.
Because I do think as you see them getting the track ready for the Ruby behind us here.
Live coverage.
Live coverage. You can tell that we're here right now. We'll let that go by.
Oh, man. By the way, this is going to be kind of our desk for the day. So if you're heading out to Turfway Park today, we're right next to the winner's circle here. We'll kind of be hanging out throughout the day.
But I do think that kind of having to wait kind of cost him because it didn't allow him to get his momentum.
Shorter stretch in Oakland, too.
Well, I think if he had the full momentum, he would have been able to kind of cruise past Class President rather than, kind of coming up to Class President at the same time he was getting going. But I do think he's got a bigger turn of foot than when you're looking at Potente. So I do think that.
Of the horses that haven't, say, won a Derby prep or haven't won a high-level Derby prep, Chief Wallaby, the name that comes up a lot at this point. I'm very much thinking very highly of that horse at this point on the trail. Something you said earlier that I think is really interesting is guys who study the Derby trying to get ready for it, and in different ways. You're just a fan of the Derby, and so you want to know all the trends, all those kinds of things. I want to know from the betting perspective, where do the best contenders come out of? Part of the reason I picked Sovereignty last year is he came out of the Florida Derby, and horses recently coming out of Gulfstream Park have been very successful in the Kentucky Derby. The Bluegrass is not like that. Now, historically, certainly, many winners of the Bluegrass went on to win the Kentucky Derby, but in recent years, certainly since 2000 or something, it is not a spot that you want to go. Are you surprised that it has become a spot for a Chad Brown, those different kind of connections? Obviously, we saw Sierra Leone, and look, if the world's slightly different, he wins the Kentucky Derby. So it isn't as though the Bluegrass was the reason he ran second in that race, but rather, are you surprised that people are going that route, or is it more just, proximity, there's $1 million in the Bluegrass, etc.?
Yeah, well, there's $1 million and there's the grade 1.
Yeah, that's fair too.
You look at a horse like Paladin, who's owned by Coolmore, so many things can happen in the Derby, but if you can go ahead and knock the grade 1 off already in the Bluegrass, that's a big pull. And it was the same
Florida Derby does
with
the same,
Sierra Leone. Yeah, Florida Derby does the same. So I think that has a big pull, the fact that you get the grade 1 win, and then it doesn't really matter what. I mean, obviously you want to win the Kentucky Derby, but from a breeding perspective, you already have the grade 1 under your belt after the Bluegrass. I just think the Bluegrass trend's going to end soon. Because there were a couple years, I think, during the time when it was synthetic where people stayed away from it. And now that it's back to dirt, it had lost the grade 1 status for a little bit. Now it's got the grade 1 status back. And you're starting to see where, kind of the Chad Brown, his top horse is pointing for that race. Brad Cox, usually one of his top horses is pointing there. Todd Pletcher's got one of his top horses pointing there. The Bluegrass trend is going to end soon. We're going to start seeing that race start pumping out success in the next couple of years, I think.
You heard it here first from Sean Collins. We're putting you on notice. Wood Memorial, get better. All right, so
see what happens when that goes to Belmont, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, man, I think the Wood Memorial is much more of a matter of time kind of thing than anything else.
Yes.
I think it's just a matter of time kind of thing for sure, just like the Bluegrass is. Sean Collins, bro, hanging out with you live here at Turfway Park ahead of the Jeff Ruby Stakes, a 100-point prep for it. And I got to say, we've seen sort of a trend turn into something that I think is more concrete now in the sport, Sean, as we move into these preps, but also as we look at where turf purses are at this time of year.
Yeah.
The runners in the Jeff Ruby Stakes are all except for one coming off of either turf or synthetic.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a year where I think a lot more people are shooting at the Ruby as a $777,000 race more than I'm trying to get in the Kentucky Derby. Yeah. Now, I think if you qualify for the Derby, you have that conversation with your ownership, with your team to see if that's the best route for you to go ahead and do that. But in my mind, this year, we see horses out of races like the Malibu coming out of different places. Now, last year, we had a second place finisher come off the turf out of an allowance at fairgrounds, that kind of thing. So it isn't as though you can't go ahead and do that. And then we saw the winner of this race last year run a pretty damn good Kentucky Derby as well.
He did. Yeah,
so,
he did.
I mean, we're starting to see that trend as well. But that purse here, the purses at Kentucky Downs, we're starting to see on opposite ends of the calendar in Kentucky, March and then August, September. People have to shoot for this. And if you've got a 3-year-old who's ready to go this time of year that happens to be a turf horse, it's worth it to try to take a shot. That's what Michael McCarthy's telling us. That's what, those connections from out west that are shipping for this race. Kazushi Kimura is going to be here today, for example, instead of riding on a stakes day in California. They got Paris Stakes out there at San Diego Park, but he's here today.
Yeah, he's here today. And I think we saw when the first couple of years where this race was worth 100 points toward the Kentucky Derby, I think people were looking at it just strictly as that.
Yep.
So we were getting horses that, you think of Two Phils. Obviously, Rich Strike came out of this race. I don't know if he was really on anybody's radar going into this race or not.
Sure.
But you think about a horse like Two Phils who had success on the Derby Trail, and they were kind of viewing this as let's get a race of the timing that we properly want, and maybe will be considered an easier spot in order to get us into the Kentucky Derby. And it worked out, and he ran second, almost won the Kentucky Derby. Now he
was my top pick of that race. Actually, I felt really strongly about him going into the Derby.
And now the last couple of years we've seen where I think now, as you mentioned, the purse is kind of taking over here, and this is starting to become a top spot for the turf horses. Now we still had the top 2 finishers of the race the last couple of years end up in the Kentucky Derby because obviously we couldn't say that
for the Wood Memorial last year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that kind of thing, you're totally right.
But, obviously the points are maybe going to sway you after the fact, after you get them. But, I mean, if you have a turf horse right now, why would you not be looking at the $777,000 purse and thinking, maybe I can get the winning share of that? Yeah, I get the grade 3. I get the winning share of that. I then have 6 weeks until the American Turf if you decide not to go in the Derby. And that's a grade 1. So you have that coming up. And you don't necessarily have to go up against the top turf horses in the 3-year-old division right now running in the Transylvania at Keeneland, because a lot of those top grass horses are pointing for that race. So you're getting the large sum of money. You don't have to go up against the top turf horses, and then you're getting yourself prepared for the American Turf. Or if you decide you end up wanting to try the dirt, you have a free spot in the Kentucky Derby if you run well. And so you're looking at where we've got that in this year. As you mentioned, all but one of the 12 horses is coming out of a synthetic or a turf race, and you're getting horses like Turf Star, who was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last year. You have Stark Contrast, who was second in that race. Argos, a grade 1 winner on the turf last year. You're getting those kind of horses that are pointing for this race. They're thinking they're going to run well on the synthetic because of their turf background, and this could potentially set them up down the line. You come out here and you get a nice purse. As you mentioned, the runner-up of the Pasadena Stakes is in this race, coming in from California to come participate in this. So I think that we're going to start seeing that trend over the next couple of years, where we'll see what it ends up doing in terms of producing Kentucky Derby horses. But this really is a key spot if you have a turf horse that you want to get a large purse money, get that graded win, and kind of set yourself up for some of these springtime races.
And we just got the news this week. Bob Baffert will have a sizable string at Churchill Downs this year. Michael McCarthy, Peter Urton, we're seeing those names in Kentucky almost as an outpost for those guys to collect some of that purse money for their base there in California. And if you're a good turf horse here, man, you're still going to have all those graded opportunities in Santa Anita this summer. Once you get to Del Mar, you're still going to have those as well, and high-level stuff too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are horses that are going to be able to go back to California, running grade 2s, running grade 1s, get in those big days like Pacific Classic Day eventually. And if they want to, guess what's around? Kentucky Downs. You can come right back to Kentucky and chase those purses as well. Anyone that you're looking at in particular that you're fascinated by? You mentioned one that I'm fascinated by, and that is Stark Contrast. Is the favorite in here. I was surprised to see that horse the favorite. But damn it, that horse ran with Gestad in the Breeders' Cup. I mean, why would that horse not be favored here?
I know. I really like this horse. I liked him a lot going into the Breeders' Cup. And I'm not surprised that he ran as well as he did. I know the connections of the horse. His exercise rider was telling me they're really high on this horse. We saw the connections do the exact same thing with Endlessly a few years ago. Endlessly's back on the card today as well in the Kentucky Cup Classic later. And so I do really like this horse. It'll be interesting to see if he can take the synthetic. He did debut on the dirt, ran fourth there. So, and then after that, you saw him really kind of start to catch fire on the turf. So I do really like him. And I mean, Full Effort has been grabbing my attention every single one of these races here at Turfway. You know, he likes the course. He's getting the extra distance. Brad Cox told us on Blood Horse Monday a few weeks ago that he does think the longer the better for him. I don't know how quick the pace is going to be here, but I think he's shown in the last 2 races it doesn't really need to be quick. He's going to come regardless. And so I really want to see if he can maybe get the job done today.
The 3-year-old race races are very difficult to figure out pace-wise.
Yeah.
Just on the Bourbon Night Elk side as well. It's very difficult at this point to determine who's going to try to go and all that. But I'm hopeful with the infusion of this California turf sort of, runners in here, we might have some speed up front. It might actually open it up where we get kind of a mix of horses on the front and then those that are closing later on. And I do absolutely expect that because, look, if you're coming out of the Pasadena, a mile turf race in California, you're running $134. I mean, like you're moving, right? And so, yes, it's going to slow down here just based on the surface. It's going to slow the horses down sort of in general. But Sean, I mean, if they're not in the 23s in the first quarter, I mean, anybody can win that race.
Yeah, anybody can. I'm also interested to see Chaos Agent coming up. Second start. He's coming off a debut win at Gulfstream on the Topita, so we know he can do that. Around 2 turns, going a mile on the 16th. And obviously, I mean, the Connections Pin Oak Stud just had a big week last week with Incredibolt, and so they could maybe get another one here, sneak them into the Derby. He's one of those ones where obviously he hasn't shown anything on turf with Independence Hall as the sire and Into Mischief on the dam side. He's probably one of the ones that if he runs well, I would feel the best about going into the Kentucky Derby in this race. Right, So I am very interested to see how he runs in here. And I want to give a shout out to our boy Baytown Dreamer.
Let's go.
I said this on Blood Horse Monday after the Battaglia. I feel like he's going to be that horse that sneaks into the Derby somehow. He'll run like a nice 4th here. He'll come back in the
West Saratoga this week.
Yeah, he'll come back in like 2 weeks and run like 3rd or something in the Bluegrass somehow and end up sneaking in on points. So
get it done. Let's go.
Yeah, so expecting a nice run from him. I don't think he's going to win, but
Orlando Boca to ride that one. Why not? Let's go. All right, let's go. All right, man. Well, I'm going to let you go.
All right.
What should people look for at Blood Horse today?
We're going to have lots of coverage from not just here at Turfway Park today on bloodhorse.com. We're also going to have coverage from the fairgrounds as well. Louisiana Derby. It's going to be a big day of prep action, so you can catch a lot of our coverage on that here. A lot of the follow-up in the next couple days. You can catch us on Blood Horse Monday. We'll talk to the winning connections of one of the 2 races on Monday as well. It's starting to get into Derby time. I myself am about to go into Churchill Downs lockdown mode once these horses start shipping over there. So follow me on BH_S Collins on Twitter to see videos of the horses as we're getting close to the Derby. Also A-Pharaoh12 on YouTube. That's going to be your best.
Have all the races from here today.
Yeah, you're going to see all the races from here today. That's going to be your best bet as well for a lot of this Derby training, especially as we get within that 2-week time period. So make sure you check that out.
My wife did the thing the other day. She said, "Oh, it's Selection Sunday. Okay, I'll see you in June."
Yep.
Like she literally, she's like, "Oh, basketball Derby. There it is. All right, Louis gone forever. There it is."
Today was one of the last days where my alarm was not set for 4:30 in the morning for the next couple of weeks here. So until
I want to be really clear about something. Sean and I share that not because we're complaining or something. This is our time of year, man.
Yeah, this is our best time of year.
Yes, this is it. This is the good stuff. So
I get into a mindset that I never reach the entire rest of the year. Put the Derby horses in front of me, I'm ready to go.
Some of us have Lent leading into Easter. You have Lent leading into Derby.
Yes.
Yeah, you get up early.
April is the best month of the year because it's leading into the Kentucky Derby. And then in recent years, I've extended that on an extra 2 weeks up until the Preakness. So
good stuff for sure. All right. Well, Sean Collins, catch us Blood Horse Monday just a couple of days from now. Appreciate him hanging out with us. I'm going to bring in Barry. Is that okay?
Yes, it is.
All right.
That's a good replacement. I'm okay with that replacement.
We'll let him handicap. You can do kind of the whatever this time filling thing that we do every Monday on Blood Horse.
Exactly.
Just kidding. All right. Appreciate you. Yeah. There you go. Jay Sean Collins joining us here on Blood Horse Monday. I'll slide over one chair here at Turfway Park again, presented by Stockton Mortgage. This is the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Louis Remote hanging out with you trackside at Turfway Park. I have been to every Ruby Stakes. I was thinking about this. Man, since the mid-teens, and I was even here in 2020. It was us and one guy from TVG, man, was trying to hold it down here. But let's bring in Barry Spears as we roll along on the live part of the program here. Barry, welcome into Turfway Park, brother. How are you?
Hey, what's up, man? Is that your tropical outfit?
It is my tropical outfit. It's already in the 50s here, which feels like 103. It's fantastic. So yes, there you are.
Man. That's what I need.
We're having fun. No, it's good. I got to get this off, though. This is that credential is going to smack me in the face, and that's only funny to everyone that isn't me, so we're not going to do that. Barry Spears, my co-host on SoCal Saturdays here on the platform every single Friday at 2 o'clock, so he is back today doing some extra work. Barry will be up for the Derby this year. We'll do a seminar Tuesday night of Derby week ahead of the Derby with our friends at Blind Squirrel Restaurant, so get on over there for that. Guess how much it costs, Barry? $0. So come on over. free.com. That's exactly right. So come on over, hang out with us for that one. I'll buy dinner. I'll buy the drinks. Come on, hang out with me and Barry for a Derby seminar there at Blind Squirrel. But Barry, the synthetic thing up here at Turfway Park, when you look at these races, sort of just generally speaking, are you looking more for turf horses? Are you looking for previous form? Are you looking for breeding? What is Barry Spears generally looking for?
It's really tough when you have horses that have never run on synthetic, run on it for the first time, that have some form, and especially the ones that are actually running well, because it's kind of like a crapshoot. You don't really know what you're going to get until they actually run on it. And I would say, and my advice to the bettors in that kind of situation is just get your price, because you don't want to get on a horse who's never run on synthetic at a short price with the unknown. So try to get your price on any kind of horse like that today.
Yeah, especially on a day of quality like this one, Barry, where you're going to have horses that do have experience over this surface and certainly success over this surface as well. Something we'll get into is a little bit of talk about how the weather might change things around here. Many of the horses that had previous success here, Barry, ran on this course when it was like 35 degrees out. It's going to be more than double that today. And so it should be interesting to watch some of the trends in the earlier races to see if speed is holding up or if, in fact, closers are coming. So, Barry, let's go ahead. We'll get started here with this. Look at you being a gentleman, Sean Collins. What a guy. With the race 7, it is the Latonia, and we get a big old favorite in here, Barry, on the rail with Literate. Is it worth trying to beat her? And I think if you are, you would look to 5 Aside, who will break from the 7 here, has had some success here as well at the optional claiming level, was really good last time out in a time that could win this race under Gerardo Corrales, who keeps them out here.
Yeah, I'm kind of not a big believer in Literate, honestly. I don't like the rail draws. You hear me say all the time. And I just can't believe that this horse just turned into something that I don't think they are. I do believe they got some perfect trips in the last couple races. But Stylish Sue, the 2-horse, is very interesting here, coming off a really poor effort in the wintergreen. But this horse is going to have a really big pace advantage, and I think they're going to be able to get the trip they want. It's just a matter of them finishing this race off. Getting IRAD is definitely a plus here, and the other horse that I think might have a shot might be the 5 Warming. I think this horse is coming in the right way. Had that one race at Gulfstream on the synthetic, and that was good enough to ship up here for this race. Yeah. And Grand Motion does pretty good with his synthetic runners, and Johnny V, he's one of the best in the biz. So
he's good everywhere.
I give him a shot. He really will have to get this horse in the race, because I don't think that this pace is going to be all that quick, and Warming's got to get good position early.
What do you make of a horse like Devaza? What do you do with a horse like that? If you are not buying into a Literate, is this a horse in your mind then that could turn it right back around and go ahead and be in this one?
Literate handled this horse twice fairly easily, so I would think that this horse might have a shot underneath, because Literate is definitely a formidable foe in this spot. I just don't think the pace scenario is well here for either of those 2 horses, honestly.
Got it. All right. Well, let's move on, Barry. Looking at the pick 6, by the way, pick 6, all stakes pick 6, the 20-cent minimum here. Barry, if you're more likely to play a bet, which one do you think you would look at? That Bayou Bluegrass pick 5 with $1 base there, 3 races at Fairgrounds, 2 up here at Turfway Park, or the 20-cent pick 6 up here? I'm going to be real honest. I think I'm playing the pick 6 here today.
Yeah, the $1, between 2 tracks, pick 6 is very, very difficult. Yeah, I know it's 2 pick 3s kind of put together, but it's certainly a hard bet. If you can go after it, do it. I would recommend it if you have 2 singles to really have at it. But if not, kind of take your time with that one.
Race 8 up here at Turfway Park with Barry Spears. I'm Lou Rebel. Horse Racing Happy Hour presented by Stockton Mortgage today, presenting our Road to the Kentucky Derby series. In 2 weeks, we will be at Keeneland as part of this series for the Bluegrass. You'll see Barry live in person for that one. Excited to have Barry up for our trip to Keeneland in just a few weeks. But the Rushaway will be race 8 today, 1 mile and 1/16 on the synthetic here. And this is for 3-year-olds, Barry. And I have in my notes here, boy, oh boy, is this the undercard of undercard races. This is a tough one in here, Barry. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not picking on anyone. If you have a horse that's just a level below the Ruby. Of course, you should run in this thing. There's 250K in the kitty, and there's no reason not to find out if your horse wants to go the 2 turns at this point. Maybe point to a Derby during the summer, something like that. Where'd you land in this one, man? I thought a really tough field.
Yeah, this is a tough race, but there's a horse in here I like quite a bit, and it's the number 2, Trendsetter. This horse started off the career with 2 wins at Colonial and Restricted Company, got out of that race and ran at Kentucky Downs, and they were wide the whole way, drew the 10-hole, and just never got a shot at it. Then went over to Keeneland, lost to Schwarzenegger, who was really, really the horse, the buzz horse over there at that time. Came off the bench January 3rd and ran a really, really good race in that Turfway preview. And then got a less than ideal trip at Laurel. And I think this horse is sitting on a good race, getting back to the inside again in a really, really favorable post position. I think they're sitting on a really good race. 6-1, probably get most of that. And that's the horse I'm kind of leaning on here.
I decided to go the luminary route here. We're bringing in Tony Kalo for this thing. How about that?
All right.
As my computer decides to uninstall the virus protection.
I was just coming down to say hello. I didn't know I was going on air. Come on now.
You have a jacket on, Tony. We got to put you on air at these moments.
I
and
guess
not
so.
The other.
Right. Exactly.
Big day, lots of prep, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Got good energy. Hopefully the speaker system isn't too loud. Last year we had a major echo effect, but we're ready for it. I've been doing it a long time.
This is fantastic day. The great weather, all that stuff. Does clear weather help with the calls? I imagine.
I don't think it can hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good.
It's not like there's any snow in the infield at Finger Lakes where you get a reflection at the 7/8. I think we'll be all right.
I think you'll be all right. We'll have a bunch of great calls, brother.
Louis, great to see you,
Good
brother.
to see you, Tony. There you go. Say hi to Barry Spear.
Barry, my man, the urban handicap.
That's what I get.
How about that? A little Popeye. See you, Tony. There you
Hey,
go.
see, you attract all the celebrities. You're the guy.
That's exactly right. No, I texted him. I said, I know you're busy as bleep, and Tony's one of these guys. He's like me, Barry. This is very funny, actually. He is prep, so he can have fun when he does. When he's when the lights turn on or whatever, the mic's on, whatever you want to call it with him, he wants to have fun, and his calls reflect that. They are
absolutely
fun, but they are super accurate. And I think a lot of Tony Kalos. That was really nice of him. And by the way, underrated on the desk at Churchill Downs is the pick 5 player. Holy moly, that guy!
Tournament player.
I know, tournament guy. He's a horse player for sure that happens to call races. That's exactly right. So Trendsetter in here, Kazushi making the trip, man. I was saying to Sean earlier, it's interesting to see so many of those California runners really trying to set up a shop here. But boy, obviously, Kazushi getting the ride for Ben Colbrook here.
Yeah. I think they stand to have a really good shot in this race. I also thought JJ Gray might be the kind of horse on the rise after that one win at the fairgrounds, and then coming over here for mid-peak and the crew. But beyond that, this race is just tough. I think all these horses are very competitive. I think a lot of these prices are going to be similar. I would probably expect somewhere around a 5-2 favorite, maybe.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right to me. 5, 4, 1, and 8 will be the favorites on the morning line. Should be an interesting one there. John Velasquez on Bull by the Horns on the outside. Tried the Fountain of Youth last time. For Sappy Joseph will try the Rushaway today on the undercard here as part of the program. For Jeff Ruby Day, thanks again to Tony Kalo popping by. Why not? That's a man who looks good in a suit jacket. I'll tell you what. I'm very jealous of that. I don't have the shoulders for it, Barry. That's how it goes. Ruben on to race 9 though here at Turfway Park. Thanks for hanging out with us. He is Barry Spears. I am Louis Rabeau. So happy to have you alongside. And Barry, how about that? Decided to go ahead and put that one on the top for me on the screen, even though that's never been done on this show. But go ahead, StreamYard. That's something we definitely want, is my face getting cut off by race 9, which is the Animal Kingdom. Barry, it's already been 15 years since Animal Kingdom's Derby. How old do you feel in this moment?
Very. Absolutely. Unbelievably old.
Oh, that was yesterday. I swear to God. Yep. No, all right. So I heard Graham Motion this morning in a different interview with Mike Petta, and it was great. And they were going back and forth on that horse. And just the Derby, man. I mean, the Animal Kingdom is just one of those stories that'll stand out forever. It's a 6 furlong synthetic sprint for 3-year-olds here. $250,000 on the line here. Barry. Joel Rosario's aboard longshoreman here coming out of Futurity, but we do have a couple of horses coming out of other stakes, including outfielder who makes a return here for John Velasquez, obviously out of the Wesley Ward barn. What do we make of an outfielder off the layoff here?
It's going to be tough. I mean, this horse is going to probably have to do something they really don't want to do is kind of come off the pace if they're going to try to win this race, because there's a ton of speed in here and horses that can get good position early. So I just don't like the draw. I think they're between a lot of the speed, and I'm not sure if they're the speed of the speed, and that could be a real problem for a horse like outfielder. The 8-horse who drew well, Hometown Bound, looks really good. Those 2 races that this horse ran were a lot better than even what I think the buyer numbers actually say. And this horse should probably get a really good trip. They've proven they could pass horses a little bit, and they should get a really good stalking trip from the outside. The same thing for the 4 Archimedes. I think this horse is looking. I like this horse.
I do too. Let me ask you about Hometown Bound real quick, Barry. So one of the things I wanted to get into a 1-minute discussion about here is 75 degrees today. It was 35 degrees when Hometown Bound won the preview. That was front running. When it gets cold here, you want to be on the lead. Do you care about that, or is this just a 6 furlong sprint? Go get the lead and go figure it out.
I really don't think they're going to want the lead here. I think they're going to try to be patient because this horse is naturally quick. You can see in both of those races, this horse broke on top. And that makes a lot of the difference. When you break well and you get good position, you can kind of be anywhere. And I think Hometown Bound, they're going to try to break well. If they end up on the lead, fine. If not, that's okay too.
People are starting to stream in here. Gates open at Turfway Park at 11:30, which means people are running in to grab their picnic tables. That's why I got here early, Barry. I wanted a picnic table. It's Jeff Ruby Day up here. I totally agree with you, by the way, about Archimedes. I think he comes in. This is a fascinating one. We watched the second place finisher in the Ruby come out of a race at the fairgrounds last year off the turf there. I'm going to have Archimedes on top in this race, Barry.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think this horse stands to run a really big race from Maker. Switching to Irad, who, does really good work for this barn when he does get on horses for them. The new acquisition from Mike Maker is another thing that he excels with. And he does very, very well with his synthetic runners. I think they pinpointed a good race for this horse. Class-wise, this horse fits very, very well. I'm expecting a good showing. I want to get that 8-1, but I'm not sure we will get it.
I don't think we will. No, that's exactly right. I'm expecting 5-1, 9-2, that kind of number, Barry, and I'll be okay with 9-2 for sure. I think 5-1 is a very fair price on Archimedes in the Animal Kingdom. He's Barry Spears. I'm Lou Rubo. Of course, this is the Horse Racing Happy Hour, the second of our third Derby preps together live at the tracks. We were out at the San Felipe. We're here today at the Jeff Ruby Stakes. We'll be live in Keeneland in 2 weeks for the Bluegrass as well. The Grade 1 Bluegrass will drag Barry up there. He'll put on his nicest Hawaiian shirt. What are you wearing to Keeneland? What have you thought about that? Is that something that Barry Spears has to worry about, is what you're going to wear to Keeneland?
Yeah, it's actually a big thing. I mean, I always overpack anyway, but I have to have options. I'm a guy who needs options.
No, you're exactly right. He's a big suitcase guy. Race 10 there at Turfway Park. Going through the pick six with Barry Spears. I'm Lou Rubo. Horse Racing Happy Hour. It's the 26th running of the Kentucky Cup Classic, one of the 2 graded stakes on the card, the Grade 3 Kentucky Cup Classic. And I got to say, Barry, we talk a lot in horse racing about, for a couple of years, oh man, the best 3-year-olds were running off to the breeding shed. We weren't having a good handicap division anymore, that kind of thing. We kind of had to hold on to those turf runners that hung around for 4, 5, 6 years in their running careers. But boy, this might be an addition of an older dirt kind of race, but also, because of what this race is, Barry, $300,000 purse, you get the Grade 3 attached to it. Feels like the kind of race that people are going to be pointing to for a while. I really like the field in here. Who'd you land on?
Well, I thought the outside horses, Wadsworth and Mercante, are deserved to probably be favorites in this spot. But this race can go a lot of different ways. And I'm going to talk up a horse that I completely slander a lot in Endlessly.
Yeah, there it is.
I think if this horse is going to run good, it's going to be today. This horse ran behind Cabo Spirit and Mendigo, who were kind of loose on the leaders in those two races out west, the last two races this horse had. So if they get any kind of pace to run into that backs up, I think Endlessly is going to come running with Kazushi Kimura at a pretty decent price. I think we'll get most of that 12-1 because this horse hasn't really won in a while. And I think this field is a field they can handle, because if you kind of separate horses like Honor Marie, who I think just needs an ultimate setup, and you eliminate that one and a few others, there's only a few horses that can actually win this race. And Endlessly is definitely one of them, and probably will be the best price out of all of those horses.
Another horse that's won on synthetic in here is Utah Beach. Vincent Cheminot gets the ride for Brendan Walsh. What do you make of the two horses here?
Has a huge shot because of the fact that they're going to lay close to this pace. I'm afraid that this pace might get a little slow because there's not going to be too many going out there. I think the two outside horses might set up shop and let Ticklequist and Willie D's kind of fight it out up front. And that's where Utah Beach can slide into a really nice trip behind those two. Just has to find room at the top of the stretch, and I think they're going to make a good run.
Of the local runners here, Barry, do you like either of them? Tappet Shoes obviously has been running here for a little while. Tickled Quist as well. I think I would lean on Tickled Quist just based on the back-to-back wins here. Speed figures aren't going to overwhelm Barry, but I mean, 206 is a little slow for a mile and a quarter. Is it just too slow for this group?
Yeah. They'll be out there. They'll probably have the lead at a certain point during this race, but I think Ticklequist and Willie D's are just a cut below these horses, and more or less cheap speed, and I think they're going to use that to their advantage.
Moving on, talking the pick six here at Turfway Park today with Barry Spears, my co-host on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Catch us 2 weeks from today, similar time over at Keeneland for the Bluegrass. But today, of course, we're talking Ruby, and of course, we're talking Bourbonnette Oaks, race 11 today on the card. Win and in for the Kentucky Oaks, Barry, and this is an interesting feeder to the Kentucky Oaks. Hasn't had a ton of success yet, unlike the Jeff Ruby Stakes leading into the Kentucky Derby, peppering the board, frankly, in the last 5 years with those runners. But we get to see a fair number of horses in this race, Barry, that we have seen in California races, La Ville Lumiere, certainly amongst them as well, a Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Turf, alumni, and as well in here, a horse like Scratch It coming out of Saratoga. We get a Resplendence on the inside that's been running here as well. Where'd you land on the Bourbonnette Oaks?
It's one of those rare occasions where you see a horse get back-to-back good setups, and I think Resplendence gets that. They kind of ran away with that Cincinnati Trophy, and I think that sets up the same kind of way today, and they should be winging it out there on the lead. It's just a matter of whether they can finish this race off. But I also do like the two and Resist quite a bit as well. Got a really wide trip in that same Cincinnati Trophy race. Gets a lot of post relief today. A bullet on March 18th or March 13th for Tommy Drury. And I think this horse is sitting on a big race. If we get 12-1, I think that's the horse I'm going to select.
All right. I'm going to make the case for the horse right next to her, and that's Barra Peninsula, who's coming out of a sprint but won a mile race right before that here on the Tapeta at Turfway Park. 2-for-2 lifetime, Barry. I want to be really clear, a much lower level than what we're looking at here, but you talk about horses that have been closing in much shorter races than this one. I wonder if the added distance for her in this spot actually will be a good thing. Won a 6.5 furlong race last time that was blisteringly fast, 22-3, 46-1. And I wonder if we won't get that kind of pace up front. I don't think we will. So in other words, I think this horse actually be a lot closer to the pace today. I wonder if Barra Peninsula, and a guy who knows this place really well, in Luan Machado, isn't one to throw in your exactas and trifectas today.
Yeah, why not? I mean, that horse has as good a shot as any. Seems to be getting better every race.
And
Jeremiah O'Dwyer has been running a lot of nice horses there and getting some wins. So I wouldn't discount this horse at all, especially at a huge price.
What do you make of La Ville Lumiere here coming in out of California? Not great last time in the Sweet Life, but before that, of course, winner of the Blue Northern. We saw her in the Breeders' Cup as well.
Yeah, that horse is probably better going longer. And I think this sort of trip fits this horse, but I think the post really kills it. Their running style isn't going to be conducive to. They're going to have to kind of circle this field. I know they've been keeping really, really good company, so I expect to see this horse in the picture. Probably around the top of the stretch, but we'll see. I just prefer the inside horses better. They're going to get better trips.
All right, move on to the Ruby itself. Jeff Ruby Stakes will be race 12 today here at Turfway Park with Barry Spears. I'm Louis Rabeau. This is the Horse Racing Happy Hour. As you can see, people are starting to fill in here at Turfway Park ahead of the big day here. 55th running of the Jeff Ruby Stakes, a grade 3, $777,000 on the line here. You win this one, you get a starting spot in the Kentucky Derby if you'd like to run that one. Barry, let's go ahead and go horse by horse for this one. Turf Star will break from the inside. I think of the double-digit horses in here, Barry. This is the one that I've heard the most positive things about. Graham Motion sends this one.
Yeah, I kind of like this horse, but I think this horse is going to get a lot of attention, a lot of buzz, because of the fact that they were, kind of wide in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf and ran well before that, but really hasn't sealed the deal. Getting blinkers today, I'm not really enthused about that either. So for me, Turf Star is probably a pass.
Full Effort will break from the 2. Good in the Battaglia, just ran out of time. We talked with trainer Brad Cox. You heard Sean mention that earlier in the show about how he felt about this horse. More distance, the better. Big chance here today, Barry.
Yeah, I like this horse quite a bit. They got a really wide trip last time in the Battaglia and ran on well. Again, a rider switch to Irad Ortiz kind of tells you all you need to know about this horse. Probably loaded. He did the same thing sort of with Commandment at Gulfstream, and I think Full Effort is going to give Full Effort.
St. Elias and the Starlight folks connected on that one. Not a surprise to see Irad Ortiz flying up to CVG for that one. Baytown Dreamer, you heard Sean mention him earlier. He just picks off little spots here, man. Third in the Smarty Jones, fourth in the Battaglia. Could he be in the Superfecta today?
No, thank you.
Okay, 2 out. Hero will break from the 4. Geraldo Corrales, you hear that name here. Kevin Attard obviously trades a ton of them up on the synthetic there at Woodbine Park. Excuse me. This one was in the Battaglia last time. Didn't run great, but that was on a cold day in February. We get better weather here. We're going to give this one another chance.
Yeah, I would forgive that effort in the Battaglia. Didn't get a good start, was way out wide, just didn't get a great trip. Gets post relief today. Should be around it. I mean, the figures before this have been pretty competitive, minus that Battaglia, and I think this horse could actually bounce back and run a good race today.
Black Hornet will break from the 5, another horse that's getting a fair amount of attention, but that's because of a win last out in a black type there at Fairgrounds, going the mile and a 16th on the turf, Barry. I think with an absolute shot here for Brendan Walsh.
Absolutely. I like this horse quite a bit. Those 2 races, those 2 turf races, this horse kind of turned it around, is a different horse. And it's something I like to see. Brendan Walsh does very well with his synthetic runners, especially going from turf to synthetic. Not that matters all that much, but I think this horse can be wherever they want this horse to be. And that might be, that kind of versatility might be what it takes for this horse to get in the winner's circle, but definitely has a huge shot.
Through the first 5 horses in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. This is the Horse Racing Happy Hour presented by Stockton Mortgage. Barry Spears, Louis Rabeau. Trackside here at Turfway Park ahead of a big day. Mirko DeMuro in town to ride Medici. You and I follow this guy on our SoCal Saturday series. And Barry, he's one that showed up at Del Mar last year with the stated purpose of getting a mount in the Breeders' Cup. It was a rough start for him. Very clearly staying around North America at this point to get a Derby starter. He's in town with Medici. What do you make of Medici?
This horse got beat by Plutarch and Stark Contrast fairly easily, and that doesn't bode well in a race like this, especially with Stark Contrast, who's looming as a real menacing presence in this race. So I would defer to not use Medici anywhere, honestly.
Maximus Prime ran a very good race in the John Battaglia, just didn't have enough late kick to catch up with Great White in that spot. Is he a candidate to hit the board again?
He could get into, tries and supers. I think that's probably the ceiling for this horse. But as a consistent sort this horse's numbers are just too slow for this kind of race.
All right, the absolute wild card in this thing, the 10-1 Chaos Agent, second time starter here, started his career on the synthetic at Gulfstream Park, going the mile in a 16th here. Josie Carroll deciding to ship this one up, and oh darn, only had to get Joel Rosario to ride this one. What do we make of his chances here? Goodness gracious, this one, this is the wild card of wild cards.
Right, exactly. If you think that race was strong enough to prep this horse for this race, have at it. Make sure you get your price like I was telling you earlier. But this one is up for grabs. I mean, the horse is training well. The horse ran well the first time. Josie Carroll does very well with synthetic runners. The work at Woodbine and all of that. If you like this horse, fire away.
What's a fair price on that horse?
Yeah, 10-1, the morning line.
Okay.
Yeah.
30-1 on Brave Force. Vincent Cheminot is going to ride that one for Jack Sisterson. Broke his maiden last out here at Turfway Park. Like to step up here?
No, thank you.
I largely agree with you. Argos will break from the 10. We do get Brad Cox and Luan Machado for this one. What do we think of the other Cox?
This horse is interesting because I like this horse's races at Woodbine last year, and really haven't seen that horse since. We got to see it turn around, but 6-1 seems awfully low for a horse like that. I think this horse needs to really turn it around. But I don't know. This is a really tough race. This horse definitely has the talent to do it, but haven't seen this horse on synthetic, so we don't know what we're going to get here.
Is a grade 1 winner in the summer stakes up there at Woodbine, as Barry mentioned, over the miles, the mile turf course there, which at the time was a 2-turn mile. So we'll have to do that again here at Turfway Park today. My favorite in this race is Stark Contrast. And Barry, by favorite, I mean, it's the one who got me paid on Breeders' Cup Friday, running second behind Gstaad, but then immediately backed it up with another spectacular performance in the Eddie Logan. I'm not worried about a mile and an eighth here. I love this move from Michael McCarthy to bring this one here. Barry, this is my top pick in the race. Yeah,
I can definitely understand why. This horse has run good every time on the track, even against Butane in that on the dirt. They didn't embarrass themselves and came out of that and started running lights out. I think this horse is going to be tough to beat in this spot. The post position is a little bit of a concern.
Sure.
But this horse overcame a lot in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I think this horse learned a lot how to run and etc. Kazushi should have this horse in the right spot. This horse is going to be really tough to beat in this race.
Everything you just said. Stop the Car will break from the outside. The only horse in the Ruby coming off of dirt in his most recent race. Frankly, all of his races have been on dirt to this point at Keeneland, Churchill, and the Fairgrounds. He has 2 wins in 3 of those races. First time in a maiden claimer, $150,000 maiden claimer to be fair, and then in an optional claimer for $100,000 where he wasn't available for claim. But then did try the LeCompte, didn't work out there. Trying here, Barry, what do we make of Stop the Car on the outside?
A lot of outside trips. I would say usually there's maybe 1 or 2 horses that outrun their odds. I think Stop the Car might be one of them.
Okay. All right. Okay. Who do you have on top? Who's your top 2 or 3 in here?
My top 3 would be Full Effort, Black Hornet, and Stark Contrast. I would lean to put Full Effort on top just because the price is going to be slightly better.
All right. Well, Barry, appreciate you, man. Have a great rest of the day.
All right, my man. You too. Don't get sunburned.
What are you suggesting, Barry? That I'm actually not wearing a shirt? This is actually just my skin color? Is that what you're suggesting, Barry? It's like kind of true. I don't appreciate that at all.
My man.
Well, they have shade here. You settle down. I'll be all right,
I'm just looking out for you, man. I'm just looking out for you. Sunscreen. We had a rough time with no chapstick out in Santa Anita. So
chapstick thing in Santa Anita was real. That's real. I'm not going to fight you on that. That's real. That was a real thing for sure. All right, Barry. Appreciate you, man. Have a good rest of the day. All right?
You too.
See ya. There you go. Barry Spears. Appreciate him jumping on here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. We're going to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Trackside here at Turfway Park ahead of Jeff Ruby Stakes 55. We'll be back in 2 weeks for a live program at Keeneland ahead of the Bluegrass Stakes as well. We'll see where they set us up. I'm guessing a dungeon somewhere at Keeneland. That's usually how it goes for the Horse Racing Happy Hour when the green coats get a hold of us. For Sean Collins, for Barry Spears, I'm Lee Rebeau. This has been another edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Thanks for hanging out with us on the program. Back on this platform on Thursday. Back at ESPN Louisville on Monday, and certainly Blood Horse Monday on Monday afternoon as well. We'll talk to you then.